Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the news today edition of 29th of July, wherein try and make all important news for the day in the most simplest format for you guys to understand. So let's look at the topic we are going to discuss today. Number one, recently Niti Aayog has presented India's third voluntary national review at a UN high-level political forum. Study has highlighted that dams have shifted Earth's poles. The State of Food Security and Nutrition of the World Report 2025 has been released. The National Education Policy 2020 has completed its 5-year. Government has released new rules for contaminated site management. And Ministry of Labor and Employment is discussing the concept of a living wage. We are also going to cover quick updates for these today. So let's look at the first important news for today. So Niti Aayog has very recently presented India's third voluntary national review with respect to the sustainable developmental goals at a high-level political forum of UN. So before this, I have many times have discussed the concept of sustainable development goals. So it is very important that you remember all these 17 sustainable development goals, which are 17 subtopics of your syllabus, right? It is very important. Why to remember? Because you can use it in your answers. There are a lot of times explicit questions are being asked from these topics, and you can use in conclusions. That again, at any problem we are discussing around these topics, we can include that again. If we are visioning of achieving, let's say, goal number 2, goal number 3 of this sustainable development goal, India is going to work like this, right? So this is a very beautiful way you are going to conclude your answers, right? So these are 17 sustainable development goals. So again, at a very recent United Nations high-level political forum, right, which is a UN political forum. At this forum, India has, or in fact, Niti Aayog has presented India's success or India's strategies, what they have been doing with respect to achieving the 2020 idea of sustainable developmental goals, right? So again, it is a voluntarily, where again India is itself telling about what it has done with respect to the idea of sustainable development. And in fact, many countries have been telling at this organization, at this platform, that again, how they are working towards what we call as sustainable development targets, right? So this is where, and again, in this platform, of course, every country and is showcasing what best practices they are doing with respect to tackling the problem of or achieving the targets of sustainable developmental goals, right? Best practices, experiences, challenges, whatever they are facing, right? And of course, it is supporting the idea of the target which has been set of 2030 with respect to achieving the sustainable developmental goals, right? So this is the basic idea of this voluntary national review. Then with respect to what exactly India has showcased, that again, how we are achieving the target of sustainable development, right? So again, in this, India has told that again, Indian government is not the only one who is tackling the problem of or maybe working towards sustainable development, but again it is people-centric developmental losses, where again we have seen that again how there is a government plus society model of let's say achieving the targets under the sustainable development goals, where again government at national level, state level, district level, local level are maybe working towards achieving these sustainable development targets. And at the very same time, what we have seen with this people involvement, which localized efforts, we are also focusing more on inclusive data driven sustainable development implementation, right? And with respect to different tools, many times in our discussion we have discussed that again how India is showcasing its report. It is just like a report card through this indices, where again India is telling again how on different parameters of these other 17 parameters under this sustainable developmental goals we are performing, right? So again we have these multiple reports. For example, SDG India Index, the Northeastern Region District SDG Index, then the National Multidimensional Poverty Index. So again, through all these index, which are parameters in terms of tracking India's progress with respect to sustainable developmental goals, which these let's say what we call as tools are giving policy directions that again where do we stand and what do we need to do in order to achieve the targets, right? Then in terms of what exactly India has highlighted its progress with respect to different goals. We have seen that again, the goal number one, that is of no poverty, India has maybe reduced people, 248 million people have been exited from the multi-dimensional poverty index. In terms of zero hunger, the PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana has been providing a lot of food security to millions of people. In terms of good health and well-being, which is sustainable development goal number 3, the out-of-pocket expenditure in India has dropped. Again, what do you understand by out-of-pocket expenditure? Whenever you fall sick, right? So usually where do you go? You go to a doctor, right? And again, you pay a fees of doctor, you buy medicines, and that is how it basically it is called as out-of-pocket expenditure. It could be reduced if there are good government hospitals, if there are Jan Aushadhi Kendras, which is giving us free of cost medicines, right? So this is where it has been showcasing an idea that again how Indian government has been working towards the healthcare sector, which has led to reduction of out-of-pocket expenditure, which is again abiding, or which is again an aim under the sustainable goal number 3. Right. Then in terms of clean energy initiative, which is again coming under SDG number 7, that is an idea of affordable and clean energy. India has been working towards that as well. And India have with again the idea of PM Kusum, that is the idea of promotion of solar pumps for farmers. Then again the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, which is again giving incentive for rooftop solar household installation, right? Then in terms of digital public infrastructure also, we have been doing well, again coming under SDG goal number 9, right? With respect to transformative tools, for example, Aadhaar, the whole idea of JAM, that is Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile, right? In terms of UPI, 49% of global real-time payments has been done through UPI. And in the idea of digital India, there has been a concept of inclusive and accessible digital governance. So again, this is where India has been doing well with an idea of digital public infrastructure as well. So these are the few things which has been highlighted in this particular report, right? Then basic prelims fact, because this report was submitted at or presented at a UN high level political forum. So again, this could come down in a prelims examination in the form of prelims question that again they can ask you about what kind of body it is, right? So again, in terms of this was established in the year 2012 under the Rio plus 20 summit, and the outcome was the future we want, right? And again, the purpose of course is with respect to centralized UN platform to review the progress of the 2030 SDG goals and the 70 SDG targets, right? And again, they are meeting annually under the economic and social council concept, but again every 4 years they are meeting under the UN General Assembly, right? So basic facts regarding this body which are important for your prelims examination. Then in terms of any PYQ, again SDG can be linked to all 4 papers of your syllabus, right? You can use it anywhere around the 17 goals what we have discussed, right? So again, there are a lot of questions which has been asked around SDG. Few of them let's see, so that again you get an understanding that again how exactly you can link something, or maybe if India is doing well, how and where we can portray that in our answers as well, right? So in 2020 under GS paper number 2, the need for cooperation among various service sectors, civil society and government is essential for achieving SDG goals, right? But again, as is this in this report, what has been told by the Niti Aayog, that again it is not just government, it is people, society as well, who are also working towards achieving these sustainable development goals, right? Then in terms of paper number 3, how is inclusive growth related to sustainable development? Explain. Then very simple question. Then in 2020, they have been a question with respect to new education policy, right? Again, it was launched in the year 2020. And in that day, there was a question with respect to how it is essential or aligning with the sustainable development goal number 4, right? And in 2018, there was a question with respect to access to affordable reliable, sustainable and modern energy is sine qua non to achieve SDGs. Again, the idea of SDG numbers that we have discussed in terms of clean energy, affordable energy. Comment on the progress made by India in this regard. So again, all of these 17 topics are 17 goals are very important. Please by heart them. Please remember them and please use them very wisely, very carefully in your conclusions of your answers. That is going to enhance the quality of conclusions which you are going to write. Moving on to the next news. So recently there has been a study which has found out that dams, which are of course human made, has led to shift of the axis of Earth. We have read in geography that again Earth rotates around its own axis, right? So that axis has shifted by 1 meter with respect to this construction of dams, right? That is the news that has been there. So let's see what exactly this report has highlighted or the scientists have told. There is a concept what we call as true polar wander. Very important. Again, a topic of your geography, right? Which could be asked in prelims examination, right? What exactly is true polar wander? Imagine this is a globe of Earth, right? Examine this is a ball or a basketball. If it is spinning around its own axis, if let's say if I attach some heavy weight at one part of the ball, right, will it not affect the spinning of that basketball around its own axis, right? So this is what is happening, that again with respect to huge dams which are getting constructed, the weight of the weight of water which are there in dam is again aligning, is again leading to, let's say, a balance with respect to the outer part of the earth, the outer shell of the earth, that is the crust and the mantle, and which is leading to shift, a change in the rotation or in the speed along which the earth is rotating, right? And it is also again leading to a concept of what we call as shifting of the axis around which earth rotates. Basic idea, right? So basically it is a slow movement of earth's outer shell, that is crust and mantle, around its spinning axis due to mass distribution. What is mass distribution? Because as earth is of course revolving or rotating around its own axis, if mass is getting concentrated at one part of the earth, right, so of course it is going to affect how exactly earth is rotating around its own axis, and this is leading to redistribution of mass, and that is leading to a shift in the axis by 1 meter, which this report has highlighted, right? So it naturally they are caused by melting of glaciers, because melting of glaciers, the ice is getting melted, the weight is getting shifted from, let's say, glaciers to the sea level is rising, right? Then in terms of tectonic shifts, then ocean currents. So these are the few natural causes with respect to true polar wander. But recently a human made dams are also a reason which has been contributing to what an idea of what we call as true polar wander. So basically it is just like earth is adjusting its spin to stay balanced, right? Agar aap, if you see, if a ball is revolving, if you have put a weight, so again the way through which the spinning is happening, it will automatically getting its get adjusted, right? So this is where this particular phenomena lies, right? Then in terms of this is how maybe I'll picturize it for you. So if this is somewhere like this, if you see around, these are the outer areas of crust, right? Outer areas of crust and mantle, right? So if something is happening, it is leading to a little bit of shift, because if you see something which was here, it is getting redistributed, something which was here, it is getting redistributed, and this redistribution is leading to a tilt or maybe a little bit shift in the axis of rotation of earth. That is a basic news, right? So how dams are contributing, because again very much, because dams are trapping what, it is a water storage, and again otherwise if water were not stored in dams, it would have been in the oceans altogether, right? So it is leading to the water storage in dams is leading to mass distribution around the earth, right? And again, this is leading to what we call as earth's rotation axis getting shift slightly to compensate the whole idea of mass redistribution, right? So the study has found out since 1835, dams have shifted the poles by 1 meter, right? So this is where again it is impact and this impact is varied with respect to size and location of reservoirs which are there in different parts of the globe, right? So basically it is telling an idea that again how human infrastructure is now influencing the idea of planetary physics, right? Then in terms of why it actually matters, ठीक है, मतलब actually real importance क्या है? If just like if I'm telling that the axis of rotation is getting shifted by 1 meter, how is it relevant in a real life for us? Because we see a lot of all of you must have been using Google Maps. Where are how exactly Google Maps are giving you locations through satellite images. So if there is a shift, so again it is going to affect the satellites, the GPS, the telescopes which rely on this accurate Earth rotation data, right? So if this TPW is not integrated, there would be an error with respect to satellite navigation. And again, generally it is also leading to if mass is attaching at a certain area of Earth, it is also affecting the speed around which the Earth is rotating, and this is leading to what? Earth's spin is slowing slightly due to mass shifts, and again of course it is leading to days becoming longer by fractions of second. Again, very fraction of seconds, but again it is going to create a huge impact in terms of ecology and environment, right? That is why very important again for your geography syllabus paper number 1 and environment as well, right? They can ask you what do we understand by TPW, how, what are the natural and human-made causes, right? And this can be also linked to environment and ecology, what could be the effect of these two reasons, right? So very important for your prelims examination. The next news, so recently government has, there has been a release of State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World report 2025, which has been released. And again, this is a topic can be interlinked to GS paper number 2, that is the idea of governance and social justice. GS paper number 3, that is economic development and agriculture. So very important, these kind of reports come in the form of prelims examination, and also you can use the findings of these reports in your mains answer, substantiation of points, whatever you are writing, right? So what exactly is this report all about? Again, it is prepared by jointly by Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, then in terms of International Fund for Agriculture Development, United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, World Food Program, and the World Health Organizations. So these are the bodies who are coming together and preparing this particular report. So it is basically an annual progress report with respect to SDG goal number 2. What is, sir, that? SDG goal number 2 is what? Zero hunger. So under this, we have few targets. Again, 2.1, which talks about end hunger and ensure access to safe, nutritious food, right? We have a target of 2.2 under zero hunger, that is we need to end all forms of malnutrition. So again, to track the progress of world with respect to these two sub goals under the SDG goal number 2, this report has been released, which is tracking the performance with respect to the idea of SDG goal number 2, 2.1 and 2.2. Right. So very basic, what has been the findings which has been found out in this particular report? Again, number 1, the global hunger has reduced. So again, we have reduced global hunger by 8.2%, right? But again, it has also shown that in some parts of Africa and West Asia, hunger is still getting worse, right? Then in terms of food insecurity, what is food insecurity? Where again, people worry about or struggle to get enough nutritious food, right? So it has slowed down. The idea of food security has slowly improved since 2021, but again the progress is still very slow, right? In terms of food prices, the prices of food has increased by in the from gone up in 2023 and 24, right? And the reason has been highlighted with respect to the COVID-19 pandemic and the war which is happening between Russia and Ukraine, right? So, and it has also found that again, one good news with respect to that, that again, initially, uh, very fewer people can't afford healthy foods, which is again a good point. That again, there is a decrease in the number of people with respect to access, with respect to healthy foods, which this report has highlighted, which has gone down from 2.76 billion in 2019 to 2.60 in the year 2024. So again, in the year, this much people can't afford healthy food, which has been reduced to 2.60 billion, right? In terms of nutritional trends, there has been a showcase that anemia in women, that is iron deficiency, is rising, which is there between the age group of 15 to 49. And with respect to obesity, this is also rising in adults from 12.1% to 15.8% in 2022. Again, these data could be used in the nutrition aspect of your answer, which could be used in social justice topic, right? Then with respect to India, that was a global perspective. With respect to India, what has been seen that again, unlike there are a lot of lower middle income countries, but again, among all these lower middle income countries, India's progress has been good, right? That this report has highlighted. Then again, with respect to healthy diets access, India has improved. There has been showcase of an example of Kerala as a state where again, with the use of mobile phones by fishermen and wholesalers, how exactly we have reduced food storage and the price dispersion has been reduced. This report has highlighted with respect to India, right? Then what are the recommendations which has been put forward by this particular report? That again, if we are tackling the problem of hunger, we need to do these three things. Number one, we need to support, right? Every country needs to support by the idea of temporary tax cuts, or maybe on certain essential items, or in terms of giving cash help so that they can access to good quality food, right? Then in terms of stabilizing the economy, it has also been told that again, government should use fiscal and monetary policy tools to tackle the problem of rise in prices of food products, and better data and monitoring has to be done, so that again, we are going to make a very informed choice with respect to what is happening around with respect to food which is there in the market, right? That has been the key recommendations by this particular report. Now, how UPSC has asked questions with respect to this particular topic. Number one, in 2022, they have asked, the Global Hunger Index does not really reflect India's food security situation, critically examined, right? Then in terms of paper number 3, what are the challenges to food security in India? How can technology be used to address them? So again, in these kind of questions, you can use the data of these reports, where again, it is talking about how at global level, with respect to food security and with respect to the idea of nutrition, what is the status, and in India specific, what are the status. You can use this data in your answers like this. Moving on to the next news for today. So there has been a 5-year completion of new education policy, right? So National Education Policy 2020, it has completed 5 years. 2020, we are in 2025. So again, some anniversary year becomes makes topics again important for the examination, right? So again, we have discussed many times about the National Education Policy. We are going to briefly discuss how far and how exactly we have achieved, what all things we have achieved with respect to the new National Education Policy of 2020, and what has been its performance. Again, there could be a question. They can ask you to assess the performance of new education policy as it has completed 5 years now, right? So with respect to change in the learning structure, we have moved from 10+2 structure with 5+3+3+4 structure, wherein 5 years should be given on foundation, 3 years on preparatory, 3 years of middle school, and 4 years of secondary school. This model has worked well, right? So again, there has been more focus on skilling, practical knowledge, curiosity, which is not just mugging up the textbooks, that has been there. In terms of helping young kids learn better. The idea of Nipun Bharat, Vidya Pravesh, which has led to the basic reading, writing assessment which is required, which was missing at children at a very elementary stage, that has been achieved by these particular programs, where again it has children in the age group has been helping with respect to reading and basic mathematics and in the early classes. Then with respect to inclusive education, we have also seen that the policy has been including people from socially and economically disadvantaged groups and girls specifically. So there has been 1.5 lakh students from this category and 7.58 lakh girls, which has got residential school support. Again, there is a Prashast app, which is again helping teachers. This app has been released by NCRT, which is helping teachers to assess the level of that early detection of disability in a particular person. And again, the disabilities which has been defined under the Rights of Persons of Disability Act 2016, right? Then in terms of better teacher training as well, again there have been a lot of initiatives with respect, example Nishtha, which is a major training initiative, and again approximately 4 lakh teachers have got trained under it. Then in terms of integration of technology in classrooms, we have seen the usage of smart boards, that 72% of schools have internet access now, right? There have been a lot of other schemes with respect to Diksha, which is an online learning platform. Then PM E-Vidya, Jadui Pitra, Pitara, sorry, that is an AI-powered learning tool. Then in terms of, we have AI chatbots, that is Katha Sakhi and Teacher Tara. All of these has been the use of technology in integration, which this education policy has been done. Then in terms of common college entrance tests, so again to make standardized admission in colleges, this has helped. Since 2022, CUET has become a main way to enter many colleges, which has led to the admission process becoming more fair and transparent, right? So these are the few things which this new education policy has achieved since 5 years of its commencement. Then there are few challenges also, right? Number one is, there are a lot of debates we have seen multiple times, because education initially was a state subject, but now it has been moved to a concurrent subject, wherein both can make laws. But again, in concurrent list, if a union law is making, then again it would prevail over a state law. So many times what we have seen, there has been a disagreement between center and states. So recently many states like Kerala and Bengal did not join the central sector schemes like PM Shri schemes, which are model schools under this new education policy, right? Why? Because they did not implemented fully the new the National Education Policy 2020. We have seen a lot of debates around three language formula, which this new education policy has been talking about. Many states have disagreed with respect to implementation of three language formula, which is basically that, again, apart from a language, mother language, you're going to learn two other languages. And again, Hindi is not a compulsory language under this three language formula, right? Then there's a lot of delay in creation of a lot of institutions. For example, a new body, that is Higher Education Commission of India, was going to be set up and going to replace the UGC, that is University Grants Commission, which has not been formed yet, right? Also, the teachers education curriculum is still pending. So these are the areas with respect to some challenges with respect to the new education policy. So very important for this year means examination also. Why? Because they can ask you questions like, they can please assess the performance of the new National Education Policy 2020 in achieving the targets of education, right? How it has performed, right? So in the year 2020, when this policy was launched, in the same year, there was a question on this particular topic, right? For example, National Education Policy 2020 is in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goal number 4, discuss. Moving on to the next news. So recently, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has notified new rules with respect to environmental protection, management of contaminated sites rules. Has released this rule under the Environmental Protection Act of 1986. Very important. It can be linked to paper number 3, that is environment and ecology. What are you seeing in this picture? And this is the condition in major parts of India, where there are a lot of contaminated sites. So firstly, what exactly are these contaminated sites? So again, many times we have seen there are a lot of piece of land around factories or various other industries which have got contaminated with respect to dumping of harmful chemicals. And these chemicals has penetrated under the soil, and again it has degraded the soil, the natural habitat of the region, the water of that particular region, which has been happening with respect to dumping of these chemicals in that region. So this is these kind of sites where again we are finding the pollution with respect to hazardous waste disposal, right, which has led to the area becoming unsafe with respect to drinking water, soil toxicity, and a lot of health hazards associated with that particular phenomena, right? For example, the old industrial land, chemical dumps. So this is basically what we call as contaminated site. So government has told now ki sir, it is responsibility of the polluter who has contaminated that particular area. This rule is talking about that. For the very first time, the polluter's pay concept has been visualized and again is going to be enforced under these rules, right? So what exactly and why are these rules found? Because we have seen that many a times the idea of legacy pollution, जो चलते आ रहा है, it has been happening there, and again it has created area which is contaminated by a lot of harmful things which is affecting the soil, the water, the health of people around that particular region, right? So, but still there, till now, there was a no solution for that, wherein this government has come up with a new rule with respect to management of these contaminated sites. So, where does this rule apply? So number one, all the rules has told that again we are covering 189 hazardous substances as per 2016 rules. That again, where again we are finding these 189 hazardous substances, that site will be called as a contaminated site. Under this rule, few things have not been considered. For example, radioactive waste, mine areas, oil spills at seas, municipal solid waste dumps. Why? Because we have separate rules of management of these particular waste. These are not included in this rule, right? In terms of management of contaminated zones. Then the sites are also varying, because the level of protection which is going to be required at a residential area which is getting contaminated is of course going to be different from the level of protection which is going to be provided at a industrial zone, right? So for that purposes we have classified, and the responses will vary for agricultural zones, residential areas, commercial hubs, and industrial zones, right? Then again, this is a very beautiful area where again government has showcased what is called as decentralization. That is a bottom-up approach, wherein how exactly the rules are going to be implemented. Number one, the local bodies or district administration is going to report then all the contaminated sites in that local area to the State Pollution Control Board. Then, and this is going to be twice in 1 year. Then the State Pollution Control Board is going to inspect all the suspected sites which has been provided to it by the local bodies, and again it is going to inform the Central Pollution Control Board via an online portal. Then we are going to identify the polluter in that course. All the sites which has been identified and notified to Central Pollution Control Board, the State Pollution Control Board will find out who is responsible for that particular contamination. Then again, what would happen if let's say there's a piece of land, if that land originally belonged to some person who had contaminated that particular land, but that person has sold his piece of land to someone else. So in case of change of ownership, who has bought that new land, that will become, or that person will be liable for contamination of that particular area. This rule has been talking about that. Again, the new landowner shall be also liable if land is sold in case of contamination, right? Then how exactly we are planning to remediate that particular piece of contaminated site? That again, polluter must clean up using approval agency. So there are a lot of agencies which has been maybe given by the government, wherein these polluters can go to these agencies in order to clean up these contaminated zones, right? And if we are not able to find out who exactly is the polluter, till that time also we are not going to leave it. So in that case, the State Pollution Control Board is taking over the task of cleaning of that contaminated zone if the polluter is not able to be, is not getting identified, right? Then in terms of funding and penalties, who is going to fund that particular project? So the initial cost will of course be borne by center and the state, and once the polluter has been identified, so again the payment with respect to the cleaning of that particular area will be taken up from the polluter who has contaminated that particular zone, right? Penalties, right? So the Central Pollution Control Board can impose fines on non-compliance, specifically, especially if public health is endangered, right? So a very beautiful piece of initiative by the government with respect to environment and ecology, where again produce the polluter is going to be held responsible for the pollution. It is not going to be anything just like that ki some factories has dumped chemicals to a zone which has led to contamination and they can move away without any cleaning of that particular zone. This is the idea, very noble idea, which has been put forward by this particular new rule. Then with respect to any question, yes, it can be linked. In 2018 there's a question which can be directly linked to the theme what we have discussed just now. What is a contaminated site? What are the causes of soil contamination and what steps are being taken to clean up such sites, right? So you can use that. Again, we can discuss about the new rules over here, which is discussing the idea of cleaning of these contaminated sites. Moving on to the next news of today. So recently, the Union Minister of Labour and Employment has discussed a concept of living wage. All of you must have understood the concept of minimum wage. Sir, what is this living wage then? So again, very important news. Let's see what are those. So again, it can be interlinked to paper number 2, that is governance, constitution, social justice. In international relations as well, then again the idea of minimum wage, living wage. GS paper 3, it can be interlinked with economic development, the idea of inclusive growth. Paper 4, it can also be linked to ethics. I'll give you some examples of previous year question, how exactly these 3 areas of syllabus has been asked in terms of question by UPSC. So again, very briefly, what exactly is minimum wage? That again, we have seen that again many times it was found out that again the employers were not paying fairly or compensating the employees with respect to the amount of work what they were doing. So government came up with a rule what we call as minimum wages, which the government prescribed. This is the minimum amount of wage you're going to pay for a particular piece of work, right? So again, it is getting covered that again the wage must provide not only for the bare substances of life but also for preservation of workers' efficiency. It is coming under the Minimum Wages Act of 1948, right? And both center and state governments can fix, review and revise minimum wages time to time based on the economy of the country, right? And they are covering under the code on wages 2019. The minimum wages are applicable across all employments in public, in private sectors, in our organized and also in unorganized sectors. So very, very, very important topic, and it is very important topic with respect to the idea of social justice. Now, sir, what is this living wage? Right, because many times we have found out that minimum wage is not sufficient enough to live a meaningful life. Because apart from, in order to live a good life, we require more than what we call as minimum wage. So that concept which is being discussed and proposed by Ministry of Labour and Employment. Let's say we are planning to come with the concept of what we call as living wage. So what exactly is this living wage, sir? So living wage is a level of pay that gives workers and their families a decent standard of living. With respect to what? Basic needs like food, housing, healthcare, education, transport, clothing, as per the International Labour Organization. All of these components comprises of a wage that is called as a living wage, right? So basically it is going to be higher than the minimum wage, right? And again, with respect to regions, it is also going to differ, because if you see the amount of living cost in Bombay is of course different from what is there in Delhi, right? So again, it is going to have a regional difference, right? And the Constitution of India under Article 43, that is of DPSP, it has been put forward that again the state shall endeavor to secure living wages to all workers by suitable legislation. So this is something we are enforcing an idea of directive which has been given to us by the Directive Principle State Policy, which is coming with an idea of living wages. Very important topic and very noble thing which has been proposed by the Ministry of Labor and Employment, right? Then with respect to why it is important, because we have seen that according to World Economic Forum, if living wages are being provided and they are legislated, they are enforced in the countries, there is going to be addition of 4.6 trillion to the global economy every year, right? Because of course it is a circular flow of income. If people are getting living wages, of course they are going to spend, and that spending is going to increase the economy, right? And again, that is how it is going to contribute to approximately 4.6 trillion to the global economy, right? Because workers spend more, they stay longer, and they become more productive. It is also going to help in terms of fighting the inflation stress, because minimum wage is not catering to the idea of what we call as living expenses, food expenses, all such expenses. But again, the living wage is going to consider all of them. Then it is going to attract better talent, because what we have seen, people are getting attracted if they are going to get a good wage, which is going to be living wage. And it is also showcasing the ethical practices, that is, which is important for businesses to today, right? So these are the few things why living wage is important as a concept, right? Why it's big deal for women, because what we have seen, the female labor participation rate in economy is very less, generally in India, but at global level as well. So with this living wage, what is how women are going to be attracted to more jobs? Because what we talk about it again, why do women skip jobs? Because the care, the child care, the education, health is very much high, right? So if wages are covering this child care, this education, this health, right, so automatically women is going to join and stay in the workforce for a longer period of time, right? So living wage, if the government is providing, it is going to be leading to a more female participation and more inclusive economy, right? So again, a very good concept with respect to the idea of living wage, what has been discussed by Ministry of Labor and Employment, right? So again, any PYQs, rest, as I discussed, paper number 2, examine the constitutional perspective of minimum wage and decent work as envisaged by International Labour Organization and how far it has been implemented in India. Now they can ask you question around living wage also, right? In paper number 3, the Code on Wages 2019 aims to simplify wage laws and ensure universal minimum wages. Discuss its effectiveness in ensuring fair wages to all. In paper number 4, ethics, there's a case study around a theme that the company is paying workers minimum wage, but working conditions are harsh and do not support family needs. Should that company pay living wages instead, right? So again, this is how you see that again, certain topics, how you can interlink it with different parts of your syllabus, right? Moving on to the quick updates for today. So recently, Ministry of Culture has been reviewing the status of formation of this zonal cultural centers. So what exactly are these zonal cultural centers? So basically, they are autonomous bodies under Ministry of Culture, which has an aim to preserve and promote the folk, tribal, and vanishing art forms of the country, right? And again, it is also going to encourage youth in cultural heritage protection, and it is showcasing the ideas of India's cultural diversity. Very important topic in terms of Indian art and culture. There could be a question with respect to these bodies in prelims examination. So the 7 zonal cultural centers has been proposed on these locations: Patiala, Nagpur, Udaipur, Prayagraj, Kolkata, Dimapur, and Thanjavur, right? Very important in terms of idea of preservation of Indian culture. The next news, Geelong Treaty has been signed between Australia and UK. So basically what these two countries have been trying to do, that again in terms of submarine, they are going to use nuclear technology, or they are going to build nuclear powered submarines under this particular treaty what they have signed. As simple as that, right? So again we're going to discuss a little bit more about it, because Australia UK bilateral pact under the Australia UK US, because this is a trilateral body, but again in under this body US has not been participating with respect to this Geelong treaty, right? So what they have planned to 50-year strategic pact to design and build nuclear powered submarines, right? It is signed only between Australia and UK. US has not signed because they have been focusing on technology transfer, shipbuilding and defense collaboration. What is the context over here? It is a part of a broader alliance between Australia and UK and US to strengthen Indo-Pacific security via tech sharing. US has not taken a step with respect to this particular treaty, because again the Donald Trump is coming up with the concept of America's first approach, right? That is why US has not participated in this Geelong treaty. Then BRICS cultural ministers meeting was held very recently in Brasilia, Brazil, right? So again, what has been found, because again, BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, right? So again, this is a cultural platform where again, what we have discussed that again, there are again, in terms of culture, in terms of what we call as creative industries, all of these countries are coming together, and again which is helping that again within these countries there would be good artists exchange, joint products, content sharing, right? The development of cultural infrastructure, right? And what they have also planned that again after this we have a target of achievement of these sustainable development goals by 2030. So they are also planning that again we are also going to include after 2030 that whatever target is going to be set up for development, culture will be one such component in that. So again BRICS has been promoting with that idea as well, right? It has also told that again with a UN organization, that is United Nations Fund for Climate Change, whatever it is. So again this is also linking the idea of climate change with culture, with the formation of group of friends of culture based climate action, right? So very important tool with respect to Indian culture. Then recently NDMA, all of you must have many times used ranitidine. That is a basic medicine which you take for gastric issues or heartburns, right? So what exactly is this? The Indian Drug Authority, that is CDSO, has talked about that is there's a component of NDMA with respect to ranitidine, right? So what is NDMA? So NDMA basically a yellow odorless liquid which is formed unintentionally during the manufacturing process. So there is, and these are very harmful respect to why? Because they are carcinogenic, they are cancer causing substances, and it has been seen that it has been contaminated with respect to this medicine that we call as ranitidine, right? So that is why the safety has precaution has been ordered by CDSCO with respect to NDMA, which has been susceptibly proposed to be found in ranitidine. So again, what are the other uses of NDMA? They are basically used in rocket fuel. Now they have been banned because of the harmful effect of it in the environment, and they are present in cosmetics, plastics, lubricants, and additives and softener. Very important in prelims examination, they can ask you question, what are the uses of NDMA, right? What kind of properties it has, where it is used, things like that. Then in terms of acoustic monitoring in Kaziranga, a very innovative step in terms of calculation of the number of birds. So how do we calculate number of birds in a particular national park or a forest reserve, right? Or a biosphere reserve? Usually by census, where again by counting, by cameras, or by binoculars, where again, or by sighting. But many times it was found out some birds were very shy, right? They cannot be seen through naked eyes or through binoculars, or they cannot be traced back through cameras, right? So this has led to development of a new way of calculation of number of birds in the region that we call as acoustic monitoring, which was done in the Kaziranga National Park in Assam, right? So again, the focus was that again 10 rare threatened grassland birds, for example, Bengal florican, black-breasted parrotbill, right? So again, visual spotting was very ineffective as many times many birds are very shy or the camouflage species. What is camouflage effect? Because they look very similar, just like forest green, right? So again, it is very difficult to differentiate them through naked eyes, right? So how exactly it is working? So basically, some acoustic recorders are placed near trees or grasslands in the month of March to May, and these recorders are capturing birds' songs and calls during the breeding season, and then based on the data which is getting stored in this recorder, they are analyzed through spectrographs, which is again a graph of sound patterns, and through a bird net, that is an AI tool which is identifies birds called automatically, right? So this is how tech-based intervention has been done with respect to calculation of birds in an area. What kind of benefits it has? It is non-intrusive, again very simple, very track-driven method, right? The accuracy will be very high. It is enhancing the bird conservation and species tracking. Very important. You can use it in your answers as well. Then very good, very important, because many times we have seen UPSC has been asking questions with respect to sports as well. So recently FIDE has organized Women's World Cup in chess. So India's Divya Deshmukh has won the title, and that is why it is very important. Basic information you should be reading about the tournament. The FIDE is basically World Chess Governing Body, right? And it regulates global chess events around the world, right? So that is how it is important for this particular perspective. Then next, UN Nelson Mandela Prize 2025. Again important because there has been a changing trend of examination questions. UPSC has been asking questions on awards as well. So this award was recently given to Brenda Reynolds from Canada and Kennedy Odedi from Kenya. So basically, what is this reward award? Basic facts that again it was established by UN General Assembly in 2015. It was awarded every 5 years, and one male and one female from different regions are getting award. Purpose in order to honor lifelong service to humanity, right? And the focus is on reconciliation, social cohesion, community development, and basically this award is no cash award. Basically, recipients get citation and Mandela quote. So UN staff are not eligible. No Indian winner has been getting the UN Nelson Mandela Prize. So basic facts important for your prelims examination. The next news, the temple which was in dispute between Cambodia and Thailand, that is Pravyaram temple, right? So again, it is located in which area? Very important, that has been the area of disturbance. It was built during the 11th and 12th century of Khmer Empire, and it is dedicated to Lord Shiva, right? So with respect to UNESCO status, it has been declared as a World Heritage Site in 2008, and it is also listed under Cambodia's name, which has been triggering tension between Thailand and Cambodia with respect to claim over this particular temple. Then lastly, Setu Bandha Scholar Scheme. Many times you have seen India had a traditional model of learning through sending students to gurukuls, right? But many times what we have seen, students of these gurukuls were not in a position to, let's say, get themselves enrolled in higher education institutions or get a formal degree, right? So this scheme has been acting as a bridge between a traditional way of learning, that is gurukuls, and linking it to the modern way of granting some status. That is the idea with respect to this Setu Bandha scholarship scheme. So again, this is enabling Gurukul students to pursue PG and PhD degrees in IITs. Again, it has been recognizing what key traditional knowledge systems are also getting included in the formal education system. So it is implemented by Indian Knowledge Systems IKS division under the Central Sanskrit University, backed by Ministry of Education. The what kind of benefits is going to have? It is giving 65,000 per month fellowship to students who are going to pursue PG and PhD degrees in these IITs, access to top institutions like IITs, and also promoting research in Sanskrit, philosophy, and Ayurveda, which are again traditional based education system of our country, right? So with this, we come to an end of today's news today. Now, what all important questions could be framed from the topics what we have discussed today will pop up in your screen. It is very important, once you have read the document, once you have gone through the video, you try and solve such questions. That is going to be a completeness of your preparation with respect to the topics what we have discussed. That is, you have read, you have revised through the video, and you have also solved questions. Again, there's going to be a complete analysis of the news from examination perspective. Lastly, Vision Eyes has come up with a digital current affairs platform, which is a one-step solution for all digital all current affairs issues with respect to UPSC preparation. Please go and explore this website, which is going to certainly help you down for your current affairs preparation for the examination. Thank you and all the very best.